Hey guys, all right, so we're gonna start day 15 notes. This is Wednesday and Thursday's assignment, 5-6 and 5-7. You guys can check the last homework. It's in the folder, it's in the packet, and then shoot me any questions that you guys may or may not have on solving by factoring, okay? All right, today we are going to talk about the quadratic formula. So if you look at your notes, okay, I'm gonna go back and forth from the notes and to my notebook there, but the quadratic formula, okay? Here it is, and yes, you guys are expected to know this, all right? And I know it looks overwhelming, it looks like it's pretty complicated, but it's really not. This is the quad formula. And we're going to use this to solve a quadratic. Okay, so far what we've done is we've solved quadratic equations by factoring, by using square roots. But sometimes that's not the case. We can't do that, so we got to use this formula. Okay, all right. So in order to solve for x is equal to, we always say the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, all right? So when we do this, we're gonna break this into 3 sections, and you guys will see that when I go through the notes today, but it's so important that you guys gotta show your work, okay? It's very evident to me that you're not, you're either copying homework or doing it incorrectly if you're not showing work, because you gotta show work. Now you guys can read through this if you want. I'm not going to take time in the notes to do that. I'm going to get right in to the examples. Okay, so we're going to start here, but I'm going to use my notebook. Okay. All right. So look at day 15 notes. All right. Again, 5-6 and 5-7 Wednesday and Thursday. Here it is. The only difference I make. All right. If you notice in your notes here, it says minus 4ac. That always confuses me. So I always go b squared plus a negative 4ac. I do that because I can treat those 3 terms as one number, and then all I have to do is add that to whatever the b squared is. For me, it's a lot easier. And you know that you can add a line, change of sign. So we just add a negative there, and we're good to go. All right, example number 1. I just wanted to show you guys, we're going to use the quad formula, but I could have, if I wanted to, factor to solve this one, okay? Write the factor, set them equal to 0, use that 0 product property to come up with your 2 answers, okay, or your 2 solutions. Remember, we call those solutions, we call those zeros. We can rewrite these as x-intercepts, all right? So there you go. So the quad formula will work for every single quadratic that you have to solve, but it's kind of a cumbersome and slow method, all right? I would definitely try to factor first, but you'll notice when you factor that these numbers usually come out to whole numbers. Well, in real life, that doesn't happen. You're not always going to get a 4. You're not always going to get a negative 2. You may get, 2.36 as an x-intercept. All right, and that's where we're going to use the quad formula. All right, here we go. Step number 1. We have to identify A, B, and C. In order for us to do that, you got to make sure this is in standard form. All right, so A is right there. It's 1. B is negative 2. And C is negative 8. AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0. So A, B, and C. Crucial that those are in the right spot, so you have those. All right. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to plug them in wherever you see an A, B, and a C. Okay. So here we go, and you guys are going to get very used to this. So we go x equals, all right, the opposite of B. Well, if B is negative 2, the opposite of negative 2 is 2. Plus or minus. All right, the reason why we're plussing and minusing that, we have 2, is because we're taking the square root. And when you square root something, you get a positive and a negative, right? All right, so opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared. All right, so we're going to take b, we're going to square it, plus negative 4 times a, which is 1, and times c, which is -8. It's all under the radical over 2 times a, in this case, a is 1. Now you guys will develop shortcuts as you guys are doing this. But for right now, we're gonna write everything out. So x equals 2 plus or minus the square root. All right, -2 squared, okay, it's gonna be 4 plus, all right, negative and a negative is gonna be a positive 32 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. So you guys, I'm working in sections, okay? So I look at it like this. I've got this. It's called the discriminant. We'll talk about that later, okay? And then we got the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 3 parts to it. That's how I like to kind of organize it. So as I keep on working down the page here, I just keep on simplifying. 4 plus 32 is 36 all over 2. All right? Okay, here we go. Now, from this point, we are going to split this into a positive and a negative. Again, we get 2 answers because we're square rooting that. So, x is equal to 2 plus, what's the square root of 36? 6 over 2. And x equals 2 minus 6 over 2. Simplify each one. That's 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And then this is -4 divided by 2, which is -2. So there's my answers. X equals 4 and a -2. If you notice, you guys, it's the same as we got up there. Okay? Now, obviously, factoring is a lot shorter of a method in this case. All right? But the quad formula will get us the answer as well. Okay? So if we had more time in class, I always like to show you guys, I could go back and erase these numbers, switch this out for a different quadratic, and we'd use the same framework. The work looks the same, and this is what I need to see from you guys. Okay, I need to see this work right here. All right, you can't just give me the answer. I know you're not doing the work. Okay, all right, let's look at B here. Okay, all right. So we're gonna have, let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. All right, so we've got x squared plus 2 equals -3x. All right, step number 1, again, is this in standard form? No, it's not. We need to set this equal to 0, and we're gonna add 3x to both sides. So x squared plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. All right? Okay. Once again, this should be an easy one to factor. However, we're going to use our quad formula to solve this one. All right, so here we go. A is 1, B is 3, and C is 2. Again, A, B, there's B, and there's C. All right? Okay, so here we go. Let's put it into the quad formula. X equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root. Okay, here we go. B squared plus -4 times A times C all over 2 times A, which is 2. So do you see again why I put the plus negative? Because now I can just look at this as a number. Whatever I get, I can add it to 9, and it's pretty easy that way. So x equals -3 plus or minus the square root. All right, this is going to be what? -8 plus 9 is 1 all over 2. So x equals -3 plus or minus 1 all over 2. This is where I'm going to break it off into the positive and the negative. So x equals, all right, -3 plus 1 is -2 over 2. And negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4 over 2. So x equals negative 1, and x equals negative 2. Now, if I want to write those as ordered pairs, negative 1 comma 0, negative 2 comma 0. Those are my x-intercepts. All right? And there we go, quad formula. And I promise you guys, as you guys are doing this, you guys will get better and better each time. You get more and more efficient. You just got to practice the habits. It's really not that involved. All right? But it does take up some room there on your notes. All right, so let's look at the next one. I'm going to skip down to example number 2, just for some time's sake, okay? Example number 2. All right, we're going to have, this is A. All right, so 2x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. All right, see if this one comes out to where the intercepts or the solutions are not whole numbers, okay? All right, standard form, yep. A value is 2, the B value is 4, and the C value is negative 7. All right, okay, here we go. Plug it into the quad formula. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared. So 4 squared is not 8. 4 squared is 16 plus negative 4 times a and times c. All over 2 times a, which is 4. All right. Let's keep simplifying. Negative 4 plus or minus. And again, you guys, as you're doing this, you'll develop what I like to call like habits, okay? So from this step to this step, you're just simplifying this. Okay, so this is negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 7 is a positive 56. Okay? All over 2 times a, which is 4. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root. And now this step, usually you're just adding those together, those two values in the discriminant. All right? And that's going to come out to what? 72. All over 4. Okay? All right, so for this example, I want you guys to round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay? If you see that in the directions, okay, all right, that means you're going to have to go ahead and calculate this out. All right? So hopefully you guys will notice that the square root of 72 does not come out to a whole number. So we're going to end up, this is going to end up being we're going to have a decimal. All right, so we're going to have, again, split this up. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 72 over 4. And x equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root, 72 over 4. Let's do this. Let's keep the plus there and the minus there. So that's why we're splitting them up. Okay, we're gonna add the 72, then we're gonna subtract the 72. All right, so here we go. Take your calculators. Clear that out. All right, here we go. Negative 4 plus the square root of 72. Hit enter and divide that by 4. So 1.12, or nearest tenth, 1.1. Okay, let's do the other one now. So we're going to have, let's see here, negative 4 minus the square root of 72. Divide that by 4, negative 3.1. All right, there's your answers. So you would say x is 1.1 and negative 3.1. Those are your two solutions or your x-intercepts. Now watch this. I'm going to go and check this. So I'm going to go to my y equals. I got 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. I'm going to go zoom 6 to reset my window. Okay, now look at, without even looking at it exactly, what I notice is I have an intercept at about about negative 3.1 and about 1.1. Okay, now if I want to go ahead and find the exact one, I can go second, calculate. I want to find the 0. Okay, now when you do this, all right, you're using your calculator's pretty smart, okay? So if you said looking for the 0, this goes on to infinity, so it keeps going. So you have to put what we call boundary lines, okay? There's one boundary. We're gonna tell the calculator to look between that point right here and that point right there. And all I have to do is go back and say, all right, look between those 2 points, and I get negative 3.12 or negative 3.1, okay? So I've got the right answer. But look, I had to use my quad formula because there's no way we could have factored this. There's no way we could have came up with those answers by factoring, so we had to use the quad formula. All right? Okay, fantastic. All right, let's do another one. Let's do one more here. Let's see. Okay. So let's see here. Let's look at B here. So we're looking at example 2B. Negative 3x squared plus 5x equals 2. All right, so this is not in standard. So let's rewrite this in standard form. 2 equals 0, so I just had to subtract 2 from both sides. All right, A is negative 3, B is 5, and C is negative 2. All right, let's use our quad formula. So x equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared. Negative 4 times negative 3 times C, which is negative what, 2? All over 2 times A, which is negative 6. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root. All right, let's simplify this here. All right, so we're going to get negative, and a negative is a positive 12. 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. 25 minus 24 is just a 1. All over negative 6. And now this is where we're going to go ahead and split this off. So x equals negative 5 plus 1 over negative 6. Negative 5 minus 1 over negative 6. So x equals, this is going to be negative 4 over negative 6, or a positive 2/3, or negative 6, which equals 1. So here we go. X equals 2/3 and 1. All right, let me just double check to make sure. Negative 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. Make sure we're putting in, oops, sorry guys, the standard form, okay? Let's go zoom 6. All right, so there it is. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys get a better look at that. So we're looking at 2/3 and 1. And it looks about right. 2/3 and 1. All right. Fantastic. All right, so there's the quad formula, you guys, okay? So make sure you're showing that work. Take your time, step through it. You guys should be good to go. All right, I want to do a couple of couple of review problems. Look at this one right here, guys. At the end of your notes, and there's no reason why we have to go through all of these, but I do want to go through a couple of them. Look at the end of the notes here, guys. All right, look at this one. 2x squared minus 6 equals 0. Okay, we're going to solve this one by using what we call square roots. If you notice, we're missing that b term. So if I just went ahead and solved for x, I'd get 2x squared equals 6. Divide both sides by 2. X squared equals 3. And then square root it. And you're going to get plus or minus the square root of 3. Now, that comes out to a decimal, obviously, but there you go. I just solved it. I didn't have to factor it. I didn't have to quad formula it. Okay, I'm missing. Okay, see how this one right here? Use if the equation has no x term. I didn't have an x term. That b term was gone. All right, good. This one looks like I would try to factor this one because I think I can find two numbers that multiply to negative 15 and add up to 2. How about 5 and negative 3? So I would probably go ahead and factor that one and solve. Okay, let's go back down here. Let's look at, we'll do 2 more and then we'll end it here. So look at F. All right, look at that one. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 144 to both sides. Okay, so I got x squared equals 25 over 144. Now, if you guys, hopefully you notice those two numbers are perfect squares, right? So if I square root top and bottom, plus and minus, what's the square root of 25? And the square root of 144 is 12. And anytime you square root something, you're going to take a positive and negative. Remember, what that looks like, okay, is something like that. And let's say that this is a negative 1, and that's a 1, right? So this would be 5/12, and this would be negative 5/12. All right, and then the last one, guys, a review. Look at this one. A lot of people will want to try to go ahead and distribute. You can't do that because it's squared. I'm sorry, yeah, you're squaring it. So instead of that, we're going to divide both sides by 6. I get x minus 1 squared is equal to 9. Okay, let's undo that. So we're going to square root. So x minus 1 equals 3 and a negative 3. Remember, when you take a square root of 9, you're going to get 2 answers. We're going to add 1. So that's going to be 4 and negative 2. All right. All right, guys. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great day. And your homework, you guys, is a worksheet. It's in the folder. I don't have it here, but you're just doing, it's a CUDA worksheet, and you're doing, I believe, numbers 1 through 8. I only gave you 8, so I need to see all the work. And make sure the answers are attached so you guys can check your work as you're going, but I need to see the work. Okay, guys? All right, guys, have a great day. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.